the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Hello, everyone, and welcome on into the second hour of the Full Court Press. Jason Walker here with Eric Frandsen on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM The Fan, streaming online at 1069thefan.com and on the 106.9 The Fan mobile app, available on our podcast feed, so long as I remember to put it up. I've not gotten into the habit because Eric's been running the board for the last forever, so now that I'm running the board for a day or two. Now the podcast isn't getting updated.
You got to stay on your game there, Jason.
Yeah, I'm not very good at it. So I'm just going to pawn that off to Eric. I'll owe him a favor later, I guess. I still need to add up pick six from over the weekend. I haven't done that yet.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I just remembered that. I was like, I didn't do that. That's like the one job I have now. I stole it from Eric. So
hey, we haven't rehearsed this, so you're getting this out of nowhere.
Oh no.
We're going to talk some Utah State football here.
Okay.
Got some new additions for the Utah State football team. Kind of exciting to see how Bronco Mendenhall and his staff are remaking the roster as they transition into the Pac-12. So the Athletic has re-ranked all of college football now that the college football season is officially done.
Okay.
Where would you suspect they ranked the Utah State Aggies now that the season is over?
So this is the 2025 season, like end of season rankings.
Yes.
94?
Not too far off.
Lower?
102nd.
102nd? Okay. I figured it was either the 90s or low 100s.
Preseason, they ranked Utah State 120.
Yeah.
So
They definitely moved up quite a ways.
They performed above what a lot of people suspected they would.
Yeah.
If they would have performed a little better in that bowl game, maybe they move up another notch or two.
That maybe is what I wasn't accounting for because there were a lot of rankings that had the Aggies in the 90s, and then that bowl game. So that probably didn't help them there.
No.
So
anyway, interesting food for thought.
Yeah.
But speaking of Utah State football, portal closed on Friday, but teams are still adding players to their roster. That just means that was the deadline for players to declare their intentions, unless, of course, you're a Duke quarterback and there can be lawsuits whether you're in or you're out. And
yeah. Well,
whatever.
The funny thing now is that he can enter the portal, but he can't sign anywhere.
Because they still own his rights.
Yeah, because and there's like a further ruling or something like that. So maybe he can eventually sign somewhere, but it's he can enter the portal, or I guess is allowed to, because I think he declared he's going to before the portal closed. So they'd allow him to go in, but can't sign anywhere, can't sign an NIL deal. That's probably the main thing is he can't sign an NIL deal. He can probably go enroll somewhere because you can't stop somebody from going to school. Say in the 1960s anymore.
We're back to bags under the table.
Yeah, well, that's
anonymous bags of cash left off when he does his laundry.
Yeah, or investments in tree companies.
Right. Yes.
Something like that.
That's right.
So the Aggies are adding players now. They've been adding probably 2 or 3 for every couple of days, almost one a day, as players are still starting to roll in. Now they've gotten a few weeks in. They've gotten a few players with visits. So they continue to stack additions. And I'm liking the emphasis that the Aggies are putting on certain position groups. It makes me look smart because the 3 areas I identified as places they need to add players, they keep adding players there. So it makes me feel smart. But Utah State adding another offensive linebacker. Okay. Outside linebacker. They also added a receiver, I believe 2 receivers, I think technically, but they added a receiver out of Georgia State, Javon Robinson, who caught 58 passes for almost 600 yards and 4 touchdowns for Georgia State last season. So one of their top receivers. He's a bit of a short guy, a slot receiver, 5'8", 155. So he's pretty small, but hopefully very speedy.
Yeah.
But that did,
pretty effective.
Yeah, it didn't stop
Georgia
him.
State.
Didn't stop him from catching dang near 60 passes for about 10 yards a catch. So, short kings go off. We mentioned Grady Brosterhouse, whose name I butchered in the first hour. And I was watching, he actually himself put out a highlight reel of himself. Some of it was a few of the snaps that he's played at the Division I level, but also some like practice reps that he was getting. And I'll tell you, highlights will make anybody look good. You could put some highlights of me playing basketball and you think, okay, this guy's actually kind of decent.
He's got eligibility. Let's go.
I wouldn't go that far. Because, slow-mo Joe Ingles, you think I'm at like running a third of the speed that he is. So, but I can put together some nice passes and 3-pointers playing basketball. But highlights will make anybody look good if you only isolate the good parts. But there were some pretty decent throws he was making. His arm strength looks good. He's definitely a runner. And, 6'3", 220 pounds, has decent speed for a guy that big. And, he had 4 touchdowns a couple of years. Like, he ran the ball like 14 times. He was clearly brought in as a situational guy, goal line stuff, but he had 4 rushing touchdowns because they were having him in those specific situations because they knew he could power his way forward. Of course, there was also they also kind of ran the tush push, to be frank, which, even Jalen Hurts is able to make that work, even though he's pretty small.
Yeah.
But still, he has
squat crazy.
He has some size. He is pretty strong, but he has some size and speed. And so Brosterhouse can definitely be a running quarterback for the Aggies, a guy who could rush for, 300 or 400 yards in the season. I don't know if he's going to be like where Bryson Barnes, where he led the Aggies in rushing yards or was close to leading them in rushing yards. But he can definitely be a weapon, not just scramble every now and again, the way that Logan Bonner was to a degree, the way that, Jordan Love was to a degree, where it's like, yeah, you can scramble, but we'll reserve that for later. Brosterhouse can be a weapon as a runner, but that's provided he's able to win the starting job, because McKay Hillstead is also a guy who can, he's maybe more of a situational scrambler, but still has some of that athleticism. So
Grady Brosterhouse more Levi Williams or more,
that's,
I'm trying to think of other guys who kind of scramble first.
I'd say there's some comparison with Levi, partly because of the size. He's not as tall, but I think he's a better passer.
So maybe closer to Barnes?
Man,
because he was a scramble guy too.
It is. And I think the problem is that he doesn't really have a great comparison to like any Aggie quarterbacks. It's just there are some traits that he, like, in terms of his ability to be a volume runner, you can compare him in some respects to Barnes or Levi Williams. His throwing ability is closer to that of some of the better, like at least his peak. I'm going to have to see this guy actually outside of his highlights.
Because it's limited what we really know.
Because I watch him throw a really nice, from the opposite hash to outside the numbers, or he threw some absolute dimes deep down the field. But like all of that probably totaled 18 pass attempts in like a 3-minute highlight reel. And that's not going to tell me, like, how does he read defenses? There's a lot of things that I'm missing after watching a highlight reel. It's just
his highlight reel will not show you the things that he missed.
It shows the best passes that he is capable of.
Yeah.
And by that metric, he looks like he has a lot of potential. But for a guy who has all that potential, well, why isn't he playing? Mm-hmm. So that brings up some questions. But he has good arm strength. I'd say better arm strength than Bryson Barnes. The way he made throws a little more effortlessly. Like Bryson Barnes had to really wind up for some of those deep throws. Brosterhouse is able to throw them a little bit better, and his placement, at least on some of the throws, was pretty solid. Again, how is his down in, down out placement going to work? You've got part of being a quarterback is your consistency. If you throw that one cross the body 70-yard touchdown pass once, like, okay, can you do that again? Can you do it without getting picked off 3 other times in the game? So that's something to keep an eye on. But I like the tools that he has as a quarterback. And so we'll see in spring ball if that actually translates to capability of starting at a Division I level, but you like what you see. They also added James Jeanette, I think is how you say this name. Virginia Tech outside linebacker, former JUCO standout. Wasn't playing a whole lot of Virginia Tech, so I mean that's the way a lot of these power conference transfers that the Aggies have. I think they're up to 11 transfers from power conference schools. Interesting because they have last year we've seen the Aggies go real hard into recruiting junior college. They, to my knowledge, they have not signed a single junior college player yet. Like they have 11 guys from power conference,
some FCS guys. Yeah, they P4.
It's 11 guys from the P4, 4 guys from the group of 6, 4 players from FCS. That's the math I've got right now. I've got 19 players. They have not added anyone out of the junior college ranks. The thing is, I like the guys they're adding. They're adding not just power conference transfers who have never played before, but some guys who have played. Like, Sesi Vailahi, I'm butchering these Polynesian names. He's a guy who was like a second or third running back. Jeremiah Holmes, or he was an FCS one. Harrison Taggart, he was playing for both BYU and Cal. David Kabongo was playing some snaps before he ended up kind of arbitrarily ending his season there to make sure that he could preserve his red shirt. So they're adding some guys. Chapman Lewis, he didn't play a whole lot this last year, but was a starter at times for Texas Tech a couple of years ago. They're adding players that aren't just P4 castoffs. They do have some of those. Brosterhouses is that, James Jeanette. Some of these other guys are kind of P4 castoffs that just haven't played. They're transferring down to look for experience. So they're not only adding those guys whom we've seen have success at Utah State. Like Utah State's entire receiving core last year was pretty much that. Brady Boyd and Braden Pagan. They were both P4 castoffs, and they produced like 1,600 yards between the two of them.
Yeah.
So we've seen those guys have success, but then they're adding guys who have experience at that upper level, and they're transferring down and get theoretically become borderline all-conference guys for the Aggies.
One player I don't see on your list, but I've seen reported today, Eli Wood.
Yeah, he's one that I saw one report for us from Brian Phillips, and I didn't end up adding it. Was
6'1" wide receiver from Virginia. Not used a lot over the course of the season. Had 16 receptions for 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. Was used a little bit more at the end of the season. 3 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown in the ACC championship game against Duke. And then had 4 receptions for 71 yards in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl against Missouri.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of, or at least a few Virginia fans or media very much praising Eli Wood as, a high character guy, certainly a guy with potential. And so, yeah, you're with him and Javon Robinson. They also added a couple weeks ago Rex Haynes out of Arizona. The Aggies are reloading that wide receiver position now. They're loading up on pass catchers. They got Javen Jacobs, who's a pass catcher as a running back, returning. They had another running back in Vailahi, who caught a few passes, but again, mostly a running back there. So they're reloading that wide receiver position group. So to me, when I look at Utah State's roster now, and I look across all the position groups, I'm finding a lot less holes than I was seeing at the beginning of the transfer portal, thinking, all right, here's all the things the Aggies got to get done. They got some big holes at potentially at edge rusher. If they lose 1 or 2 guys, they end up losing Will Holmes. So that creates, and mind you, they were already missing impact players. They had some returners, but there are guys who weren't making impact. So they go out and sign like 4 different outside linebackers, edge rushers. They, needed basically an entire new wide receiver core. They've added 3 guys there. They needed a quarterback. They've added 2 guys from power conference teams, although how do you count McKay Hillstead? Is he a power conference transfer? Because he came from Utah State, then goes up, comes back down.
Played a game. I mean, maybe he was in a program. I mean, he had access to their facilities and to their training programs. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you still can consider that a P4 transfer, even though he's coming back.
Yeah, but
the boomerang transfer.
Yeah, basically. They needed guys in the secondary. They lost a lot of guys to graduation there, so they've added a couple of safeties and a couple of corners. Multiple guys with starting experience at the Division I level are guys they've added in the secondary. They needed a kicker, so they added a place kicker. They needed guys on the offensive line. They didn't lose as many guys to the transfer portal on the offensive line as I thought they would. So they've retained pretty much their entire interior offensive line, but they've added a few guys on the offensive line to either challenge the guys in the interior O-line or guys that can line up at either of those tackle spots. So they've gone out and attacked all of their weaknesses. And I can't say I'm disappointed at all in the guys they've brought in. It's hard to say if any of these guys would be like all Mountain West, but like you don't need 10 all Mountain West guys. You need like 2 or 3 and a bunch of really solid starters. And I think the Aggies have brought in a bunch of players who could be really solid starters for them.
Yeah, I know it's always kind of maybe frustrating is the right word. I'm not sure, but there's always a sense of loss when players announce that they're entering the portal and they're leaving your program. And to some degree, you think, man, if they could just stick with it and continue to improve, they could play a larger role and be better players next year. But then you come to find out like where they ended up. And then for most of them, not all of them, but look at this class this year. A lot of the guys who left moved down. They moved down in their opportunity or moved down in the classification. So these were guys who moved on because they wanted opportunities to play and to have larger roles, which to them appeared they weren't going to have in Utah State's future. And now as this pendulum started to swing the other way with players now coming in, I'm seeing players with experience or at least access to opportunities that the group leaving didn't have. So I'm getting excited about this is a roster upgrade that we're witnessing right now for Utah State football. Would it be nice to keep some of the guys who ended up leaving? Yes. Is there a chance you stick in the program with the coaches and weight training and development and you start to improve and get better? There are those chances. Yes. But if you have a chance to get better, talent always supersedes experience. And so Utah State's bringing in guys they feel have more talent than in their system they believe they can get them to where they need to be to help the team be more successful in the Pac-12 next year.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there where they're adding talent. Like they're adding guys they're looking for size, they're looking for athleticism. Talent is the kind of the catch-all you can use for that kind of stuff. And so they are adding guys that have talent. We'll see how much of this pans out because a lot of times you label a guy as a power conference transfer or former 4-star recruit, and sometimes they don't pan out. Sometimes they do.
Yeah. I mean, Utah State's had some of those guys who came from programs like Alabama, and they had all the stars and all the recruiting out of high school, but there's a reason it didn't work for them at those other institutions, and it still didn't work for them at Utah State. Sometimes they're running from something. But more often than not, these coaches are vetting that, and they're trying to find players who want to play, and they have the talent and the ability. They just got recruited over wherever they were at, or just didn't have those opportunities. They can find those opportunities here.
Yeah, and we're going to go into another offseason, I think, having a lot of unknowns. But I think the one thing I'm excited about is that we're going to go into spring ball and actually be able to watch these guys, because not all these guys are going to play because a lot of them are going to compete with each other. Like they added like 4 edge rushers. Maybe all of them will play, but the Aggies have guys on their own roster at that position at outside linebacker. So we'll see if all these guys play. How many of these guys in the secondary are going to be starters? Like some of these guys aren't going to pan out and be starters, but a decent chunk of them are, and we'll find out a lot earlier because we had to wait until like August 30th. To find out, when they stepped out on the field, all right, who's the starters at all these positions, because they headed into that game against UTEP and they released a blank depth chart.
Yeah. The cloak of invisibility was finally withdrawn.
Yeah.
We could see what this team really looked like. And I'm really hoping this spring is different. I think it will be because the portal window is different. This coaching staff now knows what they've got, what they're trying to do, but who knows? they could still say it's in our best interest as a team to keep this closed.
Yeah. 9315 of the text before we go to break saying, I think Bronco does a great job of vetting portal players. Yeah, I think he does. Because, he's doing what a lot of coaches do. They always talk about, trying to find high character guys. But Bronco has pretty much always done a good job of getting high character players. Not every coach is perfect at that. But, just when I was talking about Eli Wood, like looking up articles on him, and it's like, dang, Bronco's really targeting high character players. This guy who hasn't played a whole lot, but the media was raving about how good of a person he was and how good he was for the program. Exciting to see what happens here. What's the number? Like, how many more do they need to add between the incoming freshmen and what they're doing out of the portal? How many more players could they be adding? I think they're going to want to be pretty close to the number that transferred out, because incoming high school ads will probably largely replace the number lost by graduation. It's not going to be completely even, but I think they'll want to get around 25 transfers in, because they portal's closed and I'm at 25, and I think I've got everyone who entered the portal. There might be a few guys who just didn't mention it publicly, and I don't know, we'll find out maybe when the new roster comes in. So they're at about 25 guys out there at 19 guys in. So they can add probably another. They might be able to add as few as 3 or 4 or as many as 8 or 9. So probably somewhere in that 3 to 9 range, from the low to high end. But they're getting pretty close to the final number of players they're going to add in the transfer portal. But there's going to be some wiggle room on exactly how big that number is. And I'd have to probably go back and double check how many high school players they've added. But they're probably about 90% of the way toward finishing the roster in terms of the number of players. Then
Still
comes
need some tight ends.
Yeah, that's the one position group they have yet to actually address. It's a little concerned, but maybe tight ends just aren't in high demand, and so they can afford to wait or something like that. I don't know.
Former Aggie Will Money, who went to Oklahoma State, looks like he's headed back to the state of Utah, but not here. He's going to the University of Utah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Still staying at the Power 5 level or Power 4 level.
Yeah.
Didn't work out for him at Oklahoma State. We'll see if it works out for him he's under Kevin McGivern. Of course, I don't think he ever was under, because he would never before McGivern came in. So
yeah.
Unless he moved,
he was a good player. I liked him.
He was potentially going to be pretty good for the Aggies. Yeah. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Utah Jazz getting a nice win. Dang it, they got to win over the Minnesota.
What are they doing? Come on, Utah.
It's a pretty nice win, some pretty nice performances from a couple of different players. Well, not a couple, like just about every player. Got triple doubles, rookies putting up big numbers, career high for Keyonte George. All that and more we'll be discussing here on the Full Court Press after this.
Snow and black ice are here to stay for a while. If your tires aren't ready, neither is your vehicle. At Express Auto and Tire, they work with all vehicles and all tire sizes, making winter traction and safety their top priority. Name brand tires are always less at Express Tire. As a Point S Tire location, you're vaxxed by a nationwide warranty. Get winter ready with no appointment needed. 3200 North Main.
Express Tire, tires for less.
Where tires and service come together.
Since 1896, S.E. Needham Jewelers has been selling diamonds in historic downtown Logan. Today, you have a choice of both natural and lab-grown diamonds. You'll be impressed with the affordability of our diamonds today. With our international suppliers from Israel, India, and Antwerp, Belgium, we're able to guarantee the best price. Simply magnify our diamonds, select your favorite, and have it mounted in a ring of your choice. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Hey, it's JD here, and with the new year comes that familiar feeling of wanting a fresh start. We all make resolutions, eat better, be healthier, do better, but for some, the resolution that matters most is getting sober. That's why I want to tell you about Renaissance Ranch. They specialize in a faith-based, clinically proven addiction recovery. They know what it takes to break free for good. Call or visit renaissanceranch.net and make this the year that addiction no longer controls your story. Renaissance Ranch, hope, healing, and recovery.
Old McDarrell has a farm, an appliance farm.
With down-home country prices and big city selection.
E-I-E-I-O. When you're looking for a friendly spot to drive a little and save a lot, hey, Old McDarrell has a farm, an appliance farm. No overhead, but lots of country charm. See Darrell's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
If you're a guy turning 18, you need to register with the Selective Service System. It's the law, and we wanted to make absolutely sure you get the message, so we brought in someone we knew you'd pay attention to.
50 push-ups!
Hey, Coach.
Get on that computer! SSS.gov! Not fast enough! 50 jumping jacks!
It's for your own good, because not registering with Selective Service could cost you a shot at college loans and grants, federal jobs, job training, and in most states, it could even cost you a driver's license.
I'm talking to you! Run that hill! 50 hills!
Go to SSS.gov to register with Selective Service. 2 minutes and you're done. It's just something you have to do.
Pick up the pace! 50 ballet jumps over the alligator pit!
Register with Selective Service at SSS.gov within 30 days of turning 18. If you don't, the consequences could be ugly.
Don't you smirk at me! 50 belly flops into moving traffic!
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Jason Walker, Eric Frandsen. We're talking Utah State basketball in the first hour. I want to jump in 8920 with this text asking if we'd already discussed the basketball game last night, but then adding their commentary. So I usually stand by Calhoun on his coaching, but last night was 100% on him for the loss. You can't let 3 UNLV players play most of the second half with 4 fouls. It was an extremely physical game. We should have attacked, drawn the fouls, and get those guys out. Did Calhoun address his strategy during post-game? I think we asked. Well, I didn't ask. I think we asked Carson Templin about it. I don't remember if it came up during Calhoun's portion. Carson Templin being kind of like, "Yeah, we probably could have done it." Carson obviously wasn't happy, so I wouldn't be happy either if I was him. I'm not going to criticize him there. But he did give a good post-game interview for somebody who obviously wasn't happy. Really, really professional from him there, being able to do that even when you're not happy. It's a skill, and it shows emotional maturity there.
Yeah, but I agree that Utah State had opportunities to get some of the best players of UNLV's roster off the floor, and they missed opportunities there.
Yeah.
Like, adjust your game plan, go at those guys, because either they're going to foul you or they're going to go be soft on defense because they don't want to foul out. So your chance of getting to the rim or making a basket is usually a little bit better. Give them credit for playing solid defense for some of those guys 8-10 minutes with 4 fouls and not fouling out. One guy did, but you had 4 others who had 4 fouls?
Yeah, one guy, he had like 2 fouls at the beginning of the half, so he picked up a couple just during the course of the half. So it wasn't until like late before he had his 4th foul. But like at the beginning of the half, the second half, they were being aggressive. And that's where like the guys who had 4 fouls, they all picked up a foul early in the second half. The Aggies put a bunch of points in the paint early in the half. That's where Kamani Hamilton got, he fouled out. Because they were being aggressive, and then they stopped. And that's kind of the frustrating thing, is that it seemed like coming out of halftime, they were like, yeah, we're going to go after them. They scored like their first 11 points of the half in the paint, or I think a couple of them were on free throws that weren't counted as in the paint, but it was because Mason Falsev drove to the basket and got fouled on his way there.
Yeah.
Or got fouled when he was in the paint. So they started that, but obviously stopped, and that I think some of that should be on the coaches for like, hey, you gotta be getting through to these players. I know Coach Calhoun talked about them not listening in the huddles, but like, look, if they're not listening in the huddles, part of that's on you. You're their coach.
Yeah, you got to find different ways to communicate with them.
Yeah, so some of that is on the players because you got to get coachable players because there may only be so much as a coach can do, but you're supposed to be skilled as a coach to be able to communicate to players however you can get through to them, and sometimes that requires different methods because some people are different. They respond differently to different styles of coaching, and that can be on the coaching. I wouldn't say that Calhoun is 100% responsible, Not just in the pedantic way of nobody's ever 100% responsible, but I believe that a lot of that goes on the players because the players needed to execute.
You need to be situationally aware of what's going on. And then also, like, Drake Allen had 9 assists. That's awesome. Way to go, Drake.
Yeah.
I mean, he's distributing the ball and he's helping everybody out. Very few other assists beyond that. As a team, Utah State had a decent assist number, but it's mostly because of Drake. There were big stretches in that game last night where there was just way too much one-on-one stuff going on.
Yeah, you need team passing.
Yes. There's too much hero ball for stretches of the game.
If you've got a guy who has 9 assists in the game, you should probably have like 17 assists.
Especially when you're going up against a team that's bigger and longer than you. You can't just go one-on-one with them.
Yeah, and if you're faster, like you need to be doing a lot of good off-ball. A lot of what we've seen from the Aggies a lot, in either in transition or in the half court, they've been at their best in the half court when there's a lot of moving, driving kick, open three-pointer, drive to the lane, pocket pass to the bigs for an open layup. That's when the Aggies are at their best, and that's what they were doing early in the second half and, well, heck, early in the game. And then they just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
The Utah Jazz, they actually didn't stop doing all the good stuff that they were doing because they managed to get a win. Of course, it was off of a 4-game losing streak. So they ended that losing streak against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And you talk about team play. They had 28 assists to only 11 turnovers. That's the Timberwolves. The Jazz had 31 assists, 2 different players had 10 assists in the game. Isaiah Collier, coming off the bench, had 10 assists, only 1 turnover. Jusuf Nurkic, who also had 16 points and 18 rebounds, meaning he got a triple-double, the very rare triple-double for the Jazz. Yes. They have not had very many of those in their entire franchise history. But Nurkic, of all people, crossing that threshold. So Collier had 18 points, 10 assists. Nurkic had his triple-double. Ace Bailey had 20 points, 5 rebounds, added a steal and an assist as well. Keyonte George also can make headlines. There's like 5 different players who can make a headline with their solid stat line.
Yeah, true.
And Keyonte George may be leading the way. I don't know. Nurkic getting a triple-double is pretty headline-worthy, but Keyonte George going for a career-high 43 points. 15 of 28 from the field, 3 assists. Did have 6 turnovers, a little unsightly there, but still 43 points from Keyonte, and the Jazz, go clutch late. They outscored Minnesota 43-26 in the fourth quarter. So
since the Aggie game started so late, I got to watch pretty much this game entirely. And then since the Aggie game started a little bit later, it helped so I could finish watching this game because there were stretches. Utah looked good. Minnesota started off better. They had the good first quarter. Jazz kind of rallied to make it interesting at halftime. But then Minnesota, they made some adjustments in the third, and so they took back the lead. And early in the fourth quarter, it's like, that was a good effort, Utah. You're playing hard against a good playoff team. All right, the young guys, the scrubs, they're going to finish this game out. No, they kept playing. I mean, they didn't. Lauri Markkanen didn't play. We're seeing a little bit more of Cody Williams here recently. There are some improvements with Cody Williams, and certainly what Keyonte George is doing, Ace Bailey is doing, what Isaiah Collier did off the bench. Kyle Filipowski will have a game where he's like doesn't look like he belongs in the NBA, and then he has games like, yes, this is a good guy off the bench, a great role player, especially if you have Walker Kessler who's out, then this is a good backup center. So it was an interesting game to see Utah kind of rally, take the lead, kind of lose it a little bit, and then rally back to get it and then hold on to it. And it's like we see these games, we see these flashes for the Jazz. Like, this is what they can do. This is what they can become. Because they had a game like this against Cleveland just a little bit ago. Like, their starters play. They play some decent defense, not great defense, and we see some stars really shine for the Jazz. And then we'll see the Jazz go 5 games straight losing, and they look like garbage. But we know what the potential of this team is, what the roster is, what these young guys can do. The big key is consistency. They're, that's not a super high priority for the Utah because they still want to be in that bottom 8. But this shows you what these young players are capable of doing. And Keyonte George is emerging as a legitimate star in the NBA.
Yeah, and I think it seems they have Keyonte George, you have Walker Kessler, you have Lauri Markkanen. And so I think what you're looking at this point for the Jazz is this ideally is the last season you were taking. With guys like Keyonte and Lauri, you can't afford to spend another season doing this crap.
Correct.
So one way or another, they got to get lucky or they got to get smart. Preferably both.
Yes.
They're currently 6th in the lottery standings, however you want to call that. 6th worst record in the NBA. Just ahead of or behind Charlotte. Again, Charlotte 16-27. The Jazz are 15-29 in overall record. Both won their last game, so the Jazz didn't lose any ground to Charlotte by beating the Timberwolves. So stay in that bottom 6 or 7. Pray to the lottery gods and hope that you can get like a top 3 pick, because there's 3 good bona fide draft picks in this one. Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa, and Boozer, the Boozer kid. Get one of those guys. They all fit the bill of the position you're looking for. A wing scorer of varying degrees. You have guys ranging from the 6'5" shooting guard to the 6'9" kind of, combo forward type. Either one works. They've got room for, I think, either. And then also, Ace Bailey, does he develop? So if you add that to what you've got with Ace, with Keyonte, with Lauri, and Walker Kessler, you not only have some potential budding stars with Keyonte George, where, again, I've had to flip my entire perception on Keyonte George from this guy is doomed to become a 6th man, and that's all he's ever going to be to. This guy looks like a bona fide star, like the next Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell type. Mm-hmm. Frustrating that we had the next Donovan Mitchell when we had Donovan Mitchell, but still, I guess it's better, if you can get Lauri Markkanen and, Keyonte George, you take him over having just one Donovan Mitchell. Maybe that ends up working for the Jazz. But it's not just going to be about having some of those stars. It's going to be about having a whole team. Because this is where I saw some people talking about trading for Giannis the other day. It's like, okay, you trade for Giannis, and you've got Keyonte, Giannis, Lauri, and Walker Kessler. And I'm like, well, good luck hanging on to Walker Kessler in that trade. But like, if you have Keyonte, Giannis, and Lauri, okay, what else?
Yeah.
Like, you are just basically a worse version of the Nets, or you're probably a worse version of the Suns when they were trying to go with Booker and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal and whoever they kept stacking over there.
The new era of the NBA is you have to have a team. You can't just have a few stars and they will carry it. With this second apron stuff, it's hard to keep top level, like a bunch of top level type guys. You need at least 2 stars. The formula is still at least 2 stars, but a good supporting cast. And that's what gets you to the NBA Finals. It doesn't necessarily guarantee you a win, but that's what gets you deep into the playoffs in today's NBA.
Yeah. You need an MVP caliber player, a really good co-star. So that's we were talking about the 2 stars, but I would add the MVP caliber, because go look at all the teams winning the championship. They typically, one of their stars, again, you're right in that they typically have at least 2 of them. One of them's an MVP caliber. Then you have an all-star level player. But again, you're right. You have a great team behind them. Look at Oklahoma City. They have a fantastic team. Sure, they have Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but it's also Chet Holmgren, Alex Caruso. Go down the list of their entire roster, and it's a bunch of guys who would all probably start for the Jazz and be one of their better players. You look at the Nuggets when they won their title. Sure, Jokic, but then you had Jamal Murray. Aaron Gordon was playing at his peak. Go down the list. They had a bunch of really good players.
Yeah.
Just go look at all the championships from the last 10 years, and it's fitting that formula. We're seeing that formula instead of the Heatles, their big 3 and all that. You can't just have 3 guys. So the Jazz look like they're starting to build that. You can list off all the guys that we think could be part of that future, but they need to complete this process.
Right. Can Cody Williams continue to develop? Taylor Hendricks, where has he gone?
Yeah.
He's kind of disappeared for a little bit.
Yeah.
Can he be consistent? Can Kyle Filipowski be a solid player off the bench?
Yeah, and it may not end up being those guys, because they may end up filling those rosters. Cody Williams leaving, whether you trade him or cut him eventually, he could be replaced by a veteran. Because you're not going to have all of these young players just stay with the Jazz until they're 28. A lot of these guys are going to get flipped.
Right. They're going to, the Danny Ainge model, what we've seen in Utah the last few years is develop them up, feature them, and then spin them out for something in the future or in the now. So if they start to develop these young guys and feel like we have a core that we can trade to get a veteran to help us more in the now, then that may be one strategy rather than let's just keep using time and development on our side to get better and better as the years go by. If they want to accelerate their progress, then they package some of those guys together to go get someone that they really want.
Yeah, and they either trade them for draft picks, which they then maybe flip for some players, or just
the team
trading.
wants something in return. They have to feel like they've got some promise coming back.
And some of that is also going to be signing free agents, not like star free agents, but decent veterans who can pad out the roster, who have a specific skill set that you're looking for. Like you need a good backup veteran point guard. You can go find one of those on the market. Do you need a good backup center? You can typically find those on the market. You're not going to find like high caliber wing defenders, and that's what everyone used to be. The Jazz need a good wing defender. And it's like, okay, so do 29 other teams, and there's only like 14 good wing defenders in the NBA. So good luck finding them. But like you can find good supplementary veteran players for your roster that are part of that, or you can trade for them because again, it's hard to sign really good free agents. You can sign decent free agents, trade for good players, and fill out this roster, trading away some of the young players maybe to get those veterans, or trading draft picks to get those veterans. So the Jazz are plugging along. We're seeing the core of potential stars popping up because we're seeing Keyonte George just go off. We're seeing some flashes from Ace Bailey. He's still in that rookie mode where it's just flashes because he goes for 20 tonight and he might go for 7 in the next game. It's going to happen when you're a rookie and when you're developing. But I think we're beginning to see a potential core of like 3 to 5 players that could be part of a future championship team kind of emerging. And then we're going to have to stay with that for the rest of the season. We can't get ahead of ourselves, but then we'll see how things develop as they get to the draft and to the offseason. We got to take another break. When we come back, we'll keep talking about the latest in local sports. We need to talk about this Real Salt Lake survey. Oh, yes, we do. We're probably going to talk about that next here. Real Salt Lake, are they going to change their name? Maybe, maybe not. The Millers are at least exploring the idea, or at least getting feedback. So we'll talk about that next here on the Full Court Press.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice. When it comes to home care, it's important for you to know you do have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of home care services, remember Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient, not the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Call for a free home safety evaluation, 787-1369, and visit primrosecare.com. Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
Some shops, they just give you an oil change and send you on your way.
But at Master Auto Tech, our master service goes beyond that.
Our master service package includes premium oil, full digital inspection, tire rotation, fluid top-offs, and a brake check.
Plus, BG EPR to clean the sludge out of your engine.
And BG MOA to extend engine life and performance.
Getting the master service means you're going to be doing it less often, saving you money over time.
So come down and ask for the master service. It's not just an oil change, it's peace of mind.
Your trusted, helpful expert, Master Auto Tech.
It's ski season, Cache Valley. This is Mark at the Sportsman, where we mount bindings. If you need bindings mounted to your skis or snowboards, in most cases, we can do it in 48 hours or less. That's right, 48 hours or less. At the Sportsman, we can also tune, sharpen, wax, and repair your skis or board so they are ready for the season. Usually, we can get those done in 48 hours as well. For 73 years, we have been taking care of skis and boards only at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan, with tons of parking in the back.
New news from the Riverwoods Conference Center. All-inclusive pricing is now available for every occasion. Imagine your dream wedding, your daughter's quinceañera, corporate retreats, family parties, business conferences, or expos. Whether you're searching for a small private area, a breathtaking outdoor reception by the river, or an event that accommodates up to 2,000 people, the Riverwoods Conference Center makes event planning effortless with its perfect combination of beauty, service, catering, and now all-inclusive pricing. Visit theriverwoods.com or call 750-515 for more information today.
The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Reminder, our sponsor of the text line is Young Power Sports of Logan. And right now, Young Power Sports of Logan has a massive selection of snowmobiles, and every sled is on sale. Mountain trail, crossover, new and non-current inventory. It's all priced to move, and they will not be beat on price. It's a guarantee. If you're looking at Polaris or Ski-Doo, stop shopping around. The best deals in the region are right here, period. Young Power Sports of Logan, get out and ride. So Real Salt Lake, they've been around Utah since, 2003-ish? Give or take a couple of years. I can't remember exactly when they started, but it was when I was a much younger man. You could call me a boy at that point. That's how old I was. They win an MLS championship in 2009.
Founded in 2004.
2004, so I wasn't off by much. I knew it was around there. MLS really only goes back to the 90s. But it's been Real Salt Lake, and for those of you who aren't aware, Real is a name used by a couple of different Spanish clubs, most notably Real Madrid, but there's also Real Atletico. There's at least one more. I think Real Sociedad or something. It's a Spanish, it refers to Spanish royalty. So that's where the name comes from. When they originally founded it, a lot of early MLS were kind of leaning into international soccer culture. Mm-hmm. Mixing it a little bit with United States. That's where you get some clubs that are named SC instead of FC, soccer club instead of football club. But Real Salt Lake, that has been the branding since the beginning. They've not really changed the identity much. They've cycled a little bit through some of the jerseys and slight variations to it, but claret and cobalt, the crest has pretty much been the same with probably only the most minor of changes. But the Miller ownership group, or whatever they call their, parent company that they created to manage their assets, they put out a survey basically testing the waters, like getting fan feedback. This is a good thing to get fan feedback. I'll never get on a franchise for putting out a survey to get fan feedback.
Yeah, it's not the first time.
Yeah, and both me and Eric went and took the survey earlier today, and a lot of the questions had to do with, what do you think about the branding? Obviously, a lot of questions of how many games do you go to? How many games do you watch? What do you think about, the franchises? A lot of it was, I thought it was funny, they listed off a bunch of the professional teams. Can you name which teams are professional women's teams? Basically quizzing your knowledge.
Yeah, so I told you I was very honest with this survey. It was asking questions and had all these different team names. I don't know who these people are. Tell me, click on all the professional sports in Utah that you recognize. 3.
Yeah, I knew about half of them.
4? I don't know.
I was familiar to some degree because they list off Utah's professional volleyball team. They have a professional lacrosse team. Either did or still do have a rugby team. I don't even know if that one was on there. But then also the Monarchs, the minor league soccer team, and obviously Real Salt Lake, Mammoth, Jazz. They were on there as well. The Bees were on there.
It was asking questions about your priority of how familiar you are, which teams that you follow, and why. And for Real Salt Lake, I'm not as avid a fan as you are. I'm a very casual fan, if that. And so I was just being honest. I just don't know. There's just I the Jazz. I know them when they're on TV. I know how I can watch their games. Mammoth, I know when they're on TV. I know I can watch or listen to their games. Real Salt Lake, I have no idea how to follow that team. I have no idea. Junior Jazz is a thing. Utah Mammoth, they're trying to do something similar with younger kids. Real Salt Lake, do they do camps? Maybe they do.
They definitely do.
I don't know.
They have a whole academy.
They have academies, but they don't. Do they come up here? Do they do things up here with kids? There used to be a building that was theirs, but that was just because the owner lived in town. But the team didn't really do a lot. So I was just very honest. Yes, they exist, and I recognize that they won a championship a long time ago, but they don't resonate in the community like the Jazz or the Mammoth do. At least not in my observations.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not a diehard, and I don't follow them as closely as some people do, like you do. But don't change the name. All that being said, don't change the name.
Yeah.
It's been the name for 21 years, 22 years. That's how it's known. Changing the name is not going to make it any better.
Yeah, I don't know why they would want to change the name. You have a fight song that you literally have that is the most unique thing. Like when I go to a Jazz game, I sit in the stands and I sit down most of the game. I don't really stand up a whole lot. When I'm watching RSL, like I'm standing up, I'm singing, I'm waving my arms around, I'm waving towels in the air. Like I get into it. Like when I'm
definitely a different culture.
Yeah, it is a funner experience to go to an RSL game than it is to go to a Jazz or Mammoth game. As much as I also love going to those games, and I love watching those sports, and I love those teams. But Real Salt Lake, there is an identity, and I will be royally ticked off. Pun sort of intended. if they change the name, they should not. Like I don't know why they really shouldn't have changed the stadium name because it was part of the kind of culture in that the fight song. We're here for RSL. Here at the riot, the battle has begun. Don't change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. My trust in the Millers as good owners is eroding really quickly. And if this is just a feedback thing and they're just trying to get lay of the land, you know what? As I said to start this, I'm not going to get on an ownership group for putting out a survey. But like, if they are actually seriously considering this, I will start going down the road of like, I'm losing faith in the Millers.
Petitions need to be made. Yeah, and you're right. There's new ownership. This is a great time to evaluate. Like, where do we stand? Like, what is the perception of this franchise? Where do we need to go? Like, what do we need to fix, or what can we highlight? And getting user feedback is a really important piece of a lot of businesses and how they do things. So I get that. But some of the questions that they put in there and regularly reference, cause some suspicion.
Yeah. We got to take another break, and I've got to make a run for it. I've got to go to a Logan High School game. They're taking on Ben Lomond. Should be an interesting game. A couple of teams that are both like 2-15. So it's a couple of teams
need to win.
Yeah, both of these teams need to win. But the Grizzlies have 2 wins in their last 3 games, so they might be looking at a third in their last 4 game. Might get a winning record in region play. So we'll see how that goes. So we'll take a break. We'll pass it on to Eric, and we'll finish things up next on the Full Court Press.
Happy New Year! You survived the holidays. This is Jarek at Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Did you meet the family during the holidays? How was that? Is it time to go engagement ring shopping? Valentine's Day is coming, but why wait? Do it now. Bring her in and view our collection of over 3,000 rings. With many of them being our own custom designs, I know we will find the perfect one. At Jarek's Fine Jewelry, we make it special. So come make it Jarek.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special. Make it Jarek's.
Over the past few years, strong and crazy weather patterns have battered various parts of the country. Northern Utah and southern Idaho are not immune from its share of wild weather. Be prepared for power outages with a Generac backup generator from Golden Spike Electric. They are your local source for Generac sales and service. Generac keeps you in control when bad weather strikes. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gsegenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
You're on your way to work when that little light pops on. The one that says, hey, you need service. But who has time to sit in a waiting room? West Motor Ford will pick up your vehicle from home or work, service it, and bring it right back. Pickup and delivery are completely free within a 35-mile radius. That's anywhere from Malad to Montpelier, Hiram to Tremonton. Plus, get $25 off any repair over $250. Schedule your free pickup and delivery at westmotorford.com or call 208-852-3853.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. A few years ago, I saw this sign hanging in a gas station. It said price, quality, service. Pick 2 out of the 3. Now, it's funny, and I did laugh, but at My Mattress, we don't even want to do business unless we can do all 3. Price, quality, and service. We have a 90-day sleep guarantee, 90-day price guarantee, and we will answer the phone if you have a warranty concern. At My Mattress, we deliver, we have financing, we strive to be price, quality, and service every day. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
Talking the sports you care about. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Reminder that Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning wants to make sure that you're living in comfort. And they're working in comfort, too. So they take care of residential and commercial HVAC services. Give them a call. Check them out on their website. Feel the love. with Mountain Valley Heating and Air. Yes, as Jason mentioned, it's a busy not Friday night. I'm getting ahead of myself. A Wednesday night in high school basketball. You got a number of teams in action tonight. Logan taking on Ben Lomond. That'll be on our sister station, KVNU, later this evening with Jason and Adam. Both teams in need of some wins. Logan playing a little bit better as of late. So good for them. Good for the Grizzlies. Taking on the Scots tonight. So it'll be on KVNU, 102.1 FM, 610 AM. Also video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com with Jason and Adam on the call. A couple other games that are going on. Some other region games of note. Probably the other big one is that is happening in Millville tonight with Ridgeline hosting Green Canyon. And two of some of the top teams in the region right now. A couple different ways to monitor that game. Dave Simmons and Nick Zollinger will be on the call. That'll be on 104.5 The Ranch and on 100.9 Light FM. Video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. And then a couple other games going on some of the teams that we follow are on the road. Bear River is at Tooele. That'll be on 104.9 The Ranch in the Bear River Valley. Our good friend Chad Saunders will be on the call for that one. Video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. Happy to have video on that one for fans of the Bears who want to see how they're doing. And that could be a really interesting matchup. Two teams that have kind of similar records in region play. So this could be a big one for Bear River to try to move ahead or stay up in the middle tier of the region standings. And then the other game going on tonight, Mountain Crest at Deseret Peak. Unfortunately, we don't have that game. We don't have a broadcast crew able to go down to that one. Deseret Peak has struggled. Maybe it's best that we don't send a crew down there. I know it would be nice to see Mountain Crest and see how they do on the road, but Deseret Peak has been on the struggle bus all year, and I don't think tonight's going to be much of a difference. So, unfortunately, no broadcast of the Mustangs tonight at Deseret Peak. We had one game last night, and apologies for some of the audio quality here on the fan. We had some technical issues throughout the broadcast. I think we've got some of those addressed, but if you were able to hang with it or go back and watch the highlights or the archive, you saw an exciting finish, and it was back and forth. No team really pulled away from the other. Skyview started to get a little bit more in control in the fourth quarter, but Stansbury always kept it close. And then it was Skyview hitting a big shot at the very end to secure the win. So Skyview gets the win on the road at Stansbury last night. And we have the video archive of that on CashValleyDaily.com. So, busy nights in high school hoops. We got some photo galleries of some of the girls basketball games from last night on Cache Valley Daily. And then it's going to be a really interesting weekend. We've got big games in the region on Friday. Utah State plays on Friday. We've got the AFC and NFC title games that will be heard here on the Fan this weekend. So, really exciting weekend coming up. But probably the biggest thing that's on a lot of our minds is what happens with the Utah State Aggies, with the men's basketball team. How do they recover? How do they adjust? How do they move on and get better as they take on Colorado State on Friday in Fort Collins? So that will be a really big one to watch to see how Utah State responds after losing 2 games in a row. And one of them, rough loss at home, which is not common for this Utah State basketball team. So how do they respond and get better? And also stay tuned, because later on in the week, we'll be able to check in also with what's going on with the Utah Mammoth, one of the hottest teams in the NHL since the start of the year. And we'll talk to Adrian Denny. That's coming up later this week, too. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great week. Great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Begged and even pleaded, and the heavens heard you. KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.